All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third game of the Wombat Invitational Tournament. Current score, Rebel Scum 1, Mighty Imperial Lords 1. If you have not watched our first two episodes, should definitely watch those. Reminder about how this tournament format works. It's a 6-player tournament. 3 Imperial players, 3 Rebel players. Each player, the teams randomly select an order or choose their order and then play on pre-programmed maps. So here we go. This is the third game. It's me, your favorite Wombat, against Oso, who is playing the part of the Rebel Scum for the day. This is the tournament finals map that was used in our May tournament, which was a much larger tournament. Okay, so what do we have going on here? Pretty standard Imperial deployment. Got strong fleets up in Rhodia and Seleucami, Death Star, and a reserve fleet over in Corellia. You can see Corellia is subjugated, and the rebels are kind of starting off with all their strong planets here for the most part. Gives the Imperial player some questions about, what to do. Do we try to build loyalty in Corellia? Do we worry about subjugating 3 rebel places? All those sort of things. So you can see the rebels are deploying kind of a base starting fleet in Dagobah. And Oso's going to have to figure out where to hide the base. So a couple of things. You can see there's 7 units in the rebel base. That prevents me from gathering multiple probes. And then he's got a fleet next to an area that he could blockade if I don't keep enough troops up or enough leaders for movement. All right, rebels have their location selected here. Could be any number of places, obviously. Weak corners of the board are definitely Dantooine area, Endor region, maybe Yavin to a certain extent. Mothma starting off with a temporary alliance, everybody's favorite card. I say that full of disdain there, but is what it is. The nice thing about temporary alliance, if there is one, means a lot of the time Leia's not going to be back to block. If there were 8 units in the base, I would definitely run Gather Intel. Anytime you can draw 2 probes for 1 leader, I feel like that's a pretty good trade. All right, so we got 3 leaders on missions. Got to make a decision here. Do we rule by fear or do we not rule by fear? Ruling by fear runs the risk of Riken opening up with a sabotage on Corellia and then not very easily being able to pull off a rule by fear in an R&D, and we have a lot of things to do. So we're going to try it and put Vader on rule by fear here and see what the rebels open up with. Yeah, with false orders. That makes a lot of sense. Vader and Emperor on missions, so he pulls back the rule by fear. All right, and we're opening with a sabotage on Corellia. So there's the risk with rule by fear. If you do rule by fear there, you're stuck because Riken will probably block it, even if you try it with Tarkin. Luckily for me, Display of Power is an excellent turn 1 draw. If Mothma had not been on Temporary Alliance, I might have actually put Vader on trade negotiations. I had 2 really good starting cards there. So off to a good start. Dodonna, the poor man's Obi-Wan Kenobi, running an infiltrate. I'll have to let that pass for the time being. Dodonna's a great target to capture early in turn 1. If you wanted to protect him as a rebel player, you could run infiltrate over where Riken is, which would give you a block if you were worried about a capture. But obviously, since I'm not on a capture, since Vader's not on anything, that is what it is. All right, so we're still going to get 1 Star Destroyer build out of this, which is fine. Leia running Build Alliance. So what did we accomplish here? Covered Mon Cal in a very positive way. Covered Bothui. Going to cover Naboo here too in a minute. Then we had one more leader back potentially to block, which, since you could see why I would think about putting Vader on Rule by Fear there, nothing too crazy for this last leader to do. Could either start moving up to Celeste, or I could cover Ord and get a assault carrier out of the build. I could cover Toydari and get an assault carrier out of the build. In this case, we'll just cover Ord. For those of you that saw the May tournament finals, in this map I made the same move, except it was Vader going over to Ord and Cornell had the Rebel base there, which triggered the early death of Vader and not getting an assault carrier build on top of it. So, very sad. All right, Mon Cal and Yavin. I have an uncanny ability, as you guys will see, to draw at least one worthless probe on my first turn. Dozens of planets out there that I can draw. I always seem to pick one that I'm on. All right, Ozzel. This is an excellent start to the game for me. 2 diplomacy missions. I got Collect Bounty, pulled Ozzel with Catch Them by Surprise, which I think arguably is the strongest Imperial action card there is. It just gives so much flexibility in terms of being able to wipe Rebel units or just avoid that first turn or that first Rebel attack where you have to make the decision of whether or not you're going to put a leader out or not. All right, anytime you vacate the home world, you got to make sure you're covering it okay. So then you also want to cover where you just displayed a power to not give them an easy neutralize there. All right, round 2. No objectives on round 1. And can't really put them on anything in particular. Where their fleet was, it suggests it's probably not threatened the core. Can't tell anything with how they built Alliance on whether or not it's a loyalty mission, so we'll see. You can see I also drew Tarkin's loyalty card here, so this is almost a broken start for the Empire here. So thinking about moves, kind of back to basics. What do we need to do? We need to subjugate Rebel systems. We need to wipe Rebel units. I only have one fleet capable of doing that at the moment. Then we got to spread the fleet out. All right, so we got Wedge, so we got to keep that in the back of our mind. Early Wedge is usually 1 in a million. It's usually the purchase there. So could try a Collect Bounty, but not really feeling that. So we'll trade negotiations, we'll rule by fear, and then we'll R&D. So clean up Corellia, flip another Rebel loyalty, and then have a trade negotiations here. I think trade negotiation play might actually be a mistake here since it's not a build round. I think I probably would have enjoyed the extra movement, but let's see what Wedge is up to. He's going to play defensive. Oh, nope, he's not. He's going to move out to Mustafar. Okay, that's fine. We can go about our business and nail Utapau. Attacking with Tag is nice because it gives at least a token roll against a Sabotage if they try to follow it up with the Sabotage. And off to the Rebels. So if you've heard my other commentaries, usually I feel like if the Rebels open up with Rapid or with Infiltrate, that they probably don't have any backbreaker missions lined up. It's not always the case, but we'll go with it. Okay, grabbing Cato. Why Cato, you might ask? Well, because I'm planning on moving the full fleet over to Celeste. So idea being if I do that.
There is another.
Here for Leia turning into a Jedi. It's going to make Leia pain in the butt blocker. Yoda Leia similar to R2 Leia. All right, moving everything up to Seleucid and infiltrate. Okay, Vader's going to work on cleaning up Corellia here. Mothma with loyalty out in Alhada. Oh, maybe not. Holding the loyalty back is nice because I don't have anybody left to subjugate, so she could have taken Alhada just fine, except it's not a build round. Alright, let's see what I draw. Got a Death Star. Not exactly what I wanted, but can't really complain. My missions have been super good, and so far Rebels have basically just played Yoda on Leia, which doing pretty well so far. Alright, Rapid is done. Let's see what our probes are. Not bad. So Dathomir and Toydaria. So Endor, Ryloth, Dantooine, all pretty decent options. There was no sabotage in my Guido, so maybe not Dantooine. Hard to know. Okay, I got Krennic, or I got Piet. I guess technically I could have Veers too, but Piet seems to be the logical choice there. I have a soft spot for Krennic. Krennic's won me lots of games, and if you pick Krennic here, at this stage in the game, also gives you an option to see where the Death Star plans are, so you can kind of gauge how well you need to defend it. I think Piet's card is the better one in this choice. I just, like I said, I just have a soft spot for Krennic. See if I regret that decision later. So you can see here 3 options. Liberation, which is an easy to score objective. Rebel Cell, which is my nightmare to deal with. And then Time for Peace. So in this instance, we'll put Rebel Cell and Liberation together. Make him choose between one of those two if he infiltrates. All right, deployment time. AT-AT. Reinforce the homeworld here. Reinforce the Death Star a little bit. So something to point out, we know the Death Star is safe this turn and next turn probably. Depends on if Dodonna's card gets played or anything else. Put the assault carrier out to check Dantooine potentially. Might need to pivot the Bothui assault carrier up to Toydar or up to Tatooine. We'll have to see how we go about doing this here. All right, you can see the Rebels grabbed Luke. Sad for Luke that his sister became the Jedi instead of him. Good for the Empire, though. All right, Luke running Infiltrate. So at this point, you have to assume he's got Son of Skywalker, or if he doesn't draw a card here, Wedge will be on Star Destroyers. All right, Vader's working on clearing out rebels in general. Got a couple of AT-ATs here, a couple of stormtroopers, lots of space power, should be in really good shape. Rebels have a choice between canceling a card or blocking hits. I used to take the approach where I'd try to save my best cards to avoid the cancel, but now I just play him, because if he did play the transport card, it would be nice to get the hits off. And then if he cancels it, it is what it is, and you know what card's coming up next. So we'll do that. See how we roll here. Four hits. Nice roll, Vader. 5 hits. All right, and then Old Man Dodonna. See what he's got in him. Put 3 hits on the Corvette. Make sure that guy dies. If he wants to retreat, we can chase him down later. 1 heal. And a damage on the TIE Fighter. All right. Then on the ground combat, he's got 5 black rolls, so my stormtroopers are in trouble, and I've already used the 501st card. So here you got a couple of options. He's probably going to roll some heals, so flipping the combat's probably not a bad idea. Otherwise, just drop a bombard. Don't be too conservative here. I think the no card next turn is a little bit risky in the event that he doesn't actually retreat. But is what it is. Ended up guessing right that time. Okay, so Dodonna is off. Let's see where he puts everything. Dagobah. All right, he's going to leave one fodder unit behind. So no, my card was canceled, so he can't roll next round, and we'll wipe the troop. Okay, keep in mind he's got a Liberation coming up. Liberation or Rebel Cell, we'll know here shortly because his first move was Infiltrate. Depending on where this build alliance happens, yep, over there. All right, so yeah, in Ryloth. Okay, that means it could be Rebel Cell coming up. Just it's a little bit harder to get to Ryloth, so we'll have to see which way we go. Tag's gonna check out Kessel. Nope. Yep. And then when we scan down here to the probe map, you can see we're just kind of knocking some things off the checklist. So still Endor, still Ryloth, maybe still Dantooine. Regan with base defenses. It's a good card. Can also keep an eye on what he deploys this round because we know he's got Time for Peace coming up too, just to see if and there's not a whole lot we can do about that per se, but all right. Emperor loyalty on where the Death Star is. And Leia with support of the Mon Cal. Get that third Mon Cal out on cue. Oh, nope. Yep. Nope. Okay, he just flips for loyalty. And then so that means Wedge is probably on Sabotage. And here we're following Imperial doctrine of following up with an attack on the rebels here. Now, if you missed it earlier, I had track them with Vader, so I went ahead and tracked them on, and then followed up with the assault carrier here. I don't know about that move, but it's how I like to conduct business, is to get rid of rebel troops when they're on the board. Rebels typically need units to score objectives. Units are loyalty. So if you can get rid of rebel units, it prevents them from rapiding back to the base, especially because there's a transport on top of it. If there wasn't a transport, I might not have gone for it, but it's what it is. All right, we will flip the combat, give me a chance to heal here. And hopefully Dodonna doesn't roll a monster roll here. Probably didn't like me calling him the poor man's Obi-Wan Kenobi earlier. Nope, good shape here. Okay, 2 damage, maybe medium shape. All right, no heals, 1 hit. Krennic's got to pull through here. Definitely want to roll for damage. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So probably going to have an AT-AT bite the dust here, depending on how badly it wants to kill it. Which, not the end of the world. If you guys have noticed my build queues, I have AT-ATs coming up in production, and I already have 3 out on the board, so I needed to get 1 back anyway. I probably would have grabbed it off of Dagobah. So I'm not going to worry too much about it. Just throw a card away. They're going to say I can't heal. He's going to roll. Yep, there it is. Guy's dead. Can't heal himself. And Trooper's dead too. All right, nice play by Deodana there. And then Wedge could potentially sabotage either Magito or Celeste, and then nope, I guess he'd need to sabotage both. Wouldn't work. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's going to sabotage Utapau. I'll let that go through. I think about it for a minute or two with Vader to try to figure out what I want to do there, and then I realize I don't care too much. So Vader's just going to go about business. Now this is a little bit of a mistake here because we just talked about how Rebel Cell was coming up and he could put it on Utapau, but I feel okay because I've got the assault carrier back in Dagobah, so we're just going to go with it. And then Tarkin's going to gain some loyalties out in the Rhodia system. Also could have done it down in Mustafar and Bespin. I think that might not have been a bad idea either. So we'll see what comes up now. If he did grab Rebel Cell, it'll have to go in Utapau. If I had left a Stormtrooper there, he could not have dropped it at all, which would have been nice. But honestly, I don't remember exactly what I was thinking at the time. This game was recorded quite a while ago, so I feel like I'm sort of watching it for the first time again. One small note with Ozzel, you got to be careful when you're moving him around if you haven't played his card already. He's super valuable, so you don't want to move him first with a weak force and then have him stumble into an Incite Rebellion or something along that lines. All right, Ryloth and Geonosis, so no Ryloth. So it could be Tatooine, could be Dantooine, most likely Endor, maybe Malastare. That would be a gutsy play there. Okay, turn 4, build round. So Soontir or Janus. So I like Soontir just in general. Thought about it for a little bit with Janus because I feel like I'm sort of low on my troop production down in Mustafar. So let's see how that goes. Got decent production here though. All the Rebel loyalties are blocked, so even though he's getting a couple of Mon-Cals here for deployment, he doesn't have a whole lot of other stuff he's building on queue. Oftentimes with games with experienced players, or I guess even unexperienced players sometimes, the Rebels tend to have a big early push, so the Empire production tends to ramp up. Oftentimes, there's many games I've played where I don't even get a Star Destroyer first turn. And oftentimes Rebels will get 2 or sometimes even 3 Mon-Cals out on queue. It can be super disappointing and not a whole lot of fun to play those games as Empire, but it's important to remember that the production is going to swing your way later on. So turn 4 production should be much better for Empire than turn 2 production is. Whereas turn 4 Rebel production generally should be much worse than turn 2 production for the Rebels. Okay, Chirrut's on the board. So what action cards do we need to be thinking about right now? We need to be thinking about the Star Destroyer card for Wedge, the kill, what usually ends up being kill an assault carrier card for Chirrut. 1 in a million. Got lots of Rebel combat cards floating around right now. Okay, I've got an address delay, so we can kind of overload Star Destroyers if we want. Unfortunately, I moved out of Utapau, so that is what it is. And we got Jedi Leia back to block 2. So we've got to be a little bit thoughtful about that. If we just try to trade negotiations with the Emperor, let's say I'm rolling 3 dice, Leia's rolling 2 and has a reroll, right? So she's probably going to roll a value of 2 or, at least 2, I would say. And then the Emperor's got to roll 3 successes on 3 dice. That's not super great. So in this instance, saving trade negotiations and just running a roll by fear are probably a more efficient use of everything. Could also try to queue up a bounty and then nab Leia after she tries to block something, but we'll see. Looks like I'm sticking to doctrine here and just going to be exploring planets and not running too many missions. Okay, Rebels opening up with a hit and run. That's a pretty common open card. A lot of times why I like to try to keep Vader back. I think there's pretty good value in saving assault carriers, even if it costs Vader a turn, because then that assault carrier can move later. However, in this particular instance, wedge dropping hit and run is just to wipe out a ATST. So we'll let that go. Now, one thing to think about here is why on earth did wedge just hit and run an ATST in Celeste? So that's probably a good sign that I should be checking, either grouping up in Bespin, checking out Hoth, pulling my fleet together down there. Now, one of the risky things is if you move 2 Star Destroyers down into Bespin and you get attacked next round, they're going to have 3 Mon Cals coming at you, and 2 Star Destroyers aren't going to, I don't care who's piloting those things, nobody's going to get there. But I do have Ozzel too, so just some things I should be thinking about here, I think. But instead, what we're going to do is we're going to just try to put the clamps on, limit the ability for the rebels to hop around the map. So we're covering Tatooine, we're covering Dantooine. We'll keep the middle of the board open a little bit. Protects against a rapid. Okay, sabotaging Bothawui means we're preventing an ATST. Could be going for a level 1 objective too, although not too much there. So no reason to block unless I was trying to run a capture plus lure, which would have been an awesome thing to do there. Welcome to the team, Luke Skywalker. Instead, Emperor will be ruling by fear. All right, so we're going to rule by fear. I don't know where. We're trying to reduce rebel loyalty is what I'm thinking about right here. So I think about it for a while. I decide to not put the Emperor on Mustafar primarily because I'm worried about getting attacked in case they are on Hoth. So instead, we'll just strip it from Mon Cal. Now, that does open me up for regional aid in Bespin, but after thinking about it a little bit, it didn't look like he was pressing towards that. So, I'm taking a little bit of a risk here. Okay, Mothma to Kashyyyk. So no regional aid. Soontir. Okay, we're going to gather up the forces in Celeste. Maybe should have kept that AT-AT in Dagobah. Rebels end up passing with Chirrut and with Leia. So Leia can still block. Chirrut was on something. Maybe Insight Rebellion? Maybe... yeah, probably something like that. Okay, Tarkin will run delay. Sometimes it's nice to have, Tarkin or Tag on a mission because it always threatens that it might be R&D, so it discourages the rebels from crushing, it discourages the rebels from crushing Corellia with the sabotage because they know you don't have R&D up. So just something to think about there. All right, doing a rapid. At this point, Rebels' options for leaving are dwindling. So there's a chance they're in Ilum, chance they're in the middle of the board, although I'm covering that up pretty good. God, they could be in Alderaan, but that would be gutsy. Or Felucia. All those are pretty covered, but pretty much looking like Endor or Hoth at this point. Would have loved to draw either Endor or Hoth there, but was not meant to be. I do have a couple of probe cards now too. We have Ozzel's card and we have Intercept Transmission. This is an interesting part of the game, and if you've watched my other videos, I think you've probably seen me execute these turns, turn 5, turn 6, where I end up running a bunch of probe missions and then end up, after everybody's queued up, getting attacked or the rebels revealing the base anyway, and then I feel like I end up wasting a lot of probes for nothing. All right, let's see how we deploy here. So we've got 2 Moncals, 2 Nebulons, a ton of fighters in the base. Death Star's covered up with 1 shield bunker. There's no Maydeen on the board, but there is Wedge and Luke. So I got to be a little bit cognizant as to what I want to do with the Death Star God, especially if they're in Alderaan or Ilum or even, Mandalore. Okay, we're going to spread out the AT-ATs here, spread out the AT-STs. Got a Star Destroyer in one group, so 2 Star Destroyer groups, but neither Star Destroyer group powerful enough to deal with that Rebel fleet. So there's probably a world where Catch Them by Surprise makes some sense, and just throwing it into Bespin with the idea that lets you consolidate the fleet before they attack out. Now the downside to that is then you end up with Ozzel and Bespin with, that Rebel fleet could take out 2 Star Destroyers and an Assault Carrier pretty easily, I think. So then you end up there and you retreat, and who knows. Anyway, K2SO popping out. Got Old Man Dodonna, Wedge, and K2SO on, so now the Rebels have a 3 health, or a 3 fist leader in play. Previously they did not, so I'll need to think about, demolition or whatnot there too. If you see a 3 fist, a lot of times I like to just keep Vader back in general, just to block. I think I mentioned that before, so we'll see. All right, it's got Jedi Leia, and Wedge with K2SO back, so potentially doing a draw them out might pull one of the 2 of them out. We'll see what I decide to do with probes here. Yep. So if you count the probe map real quick, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I have 10 systems that I'm covering right now. So maybe assume 12 by the time I play that. It looks like there's maybe about 18 cards in the probe deck, so likely going to pull at least 4 or 5 probes from Intercept, then another 4 from Ozzel. That's a good trade, and then run a Gather Intel right afterwards to pull another, based on the base right now, another 2 or 3. So the only thing that probably really backfires with this probe play here is if the base is on Hoth and he attacks out first turn, because then, or attacks out before I have a chance to gather intel. If he's on Endor, chances are he doesn't attack out, but if he's on Hoth, let's say, then I end up with not enough leaders to do anything. All right, Cassian running a covert. Okay. And just as a reminder to Rebel players, make sure if the Empire has done Krennic's card that you shuffle the 2 objectives if they're the same. Okay, so he puts Time for Peace on the bottom, because we saw that, and then grabs the objective number 3. Now he could have shuffled. I would have figured that out either way, so it wasn't a big deal there. But if they were both level 2 objectives, something to point out. So now we got to think about Return of the Jedi too. So no objectives yet for the Rebels. Empire closing in. Covert operations ran successfully. And then there we go. Now Wedge attacking out. Must have skipped over an Imperial play. What did I do with my move? I moved Tarkin to Malastare, which was an insanely weird move. Should have consolidated the fleets. I think the thought was if I move everything to Bespin, and then if he's in Malastare, then I'm in trouble. So I weaken my counter, my reserve force. And now I've got some Rebel fleet to deal with. So we've got Wedge coming out. I'm going to drop the Emperor in to try to save the Star Destroyer. And then best way to save the Star Destroyer is with Overwhelming Presence, especially if there's no super on queue. So we'll block hits. He's going to block hits as well. And probably play a Y-Wing card here. Yep. Okay, so I got to get a little bit lucky here. It's probably going to roll 3 hits, and no, we're just gonna go for it. All right, so 2 criticals plus another critical, so 3 criticals, no blocked hits at all. But we did force that card out of him, which was nice. So that's blocked. Okay. So we got 5 hits on the Star Destroyer. We need 2 heals. We're not going to get it, but we'll just re-roll and try to kill some stuff. If I can get a hit on that, yeah, probably just getting the Y-Wing here. Realistically, need 2 crits. 1. Okay. Got the Y-Wing. Damage the escort carrier. Maybe he decides to stay. Emperor is not running away. Yeah, he decides to stay. So here, yeah, made that mistake last turn. Should have dropped the damage on the Nebulon just for this reason in particular, because now he can heal the Moncal. So I've got, instead I could have had 4 damage on the escort carrier, but I mean, I guess in theory I pulled that card out of him, but not great. All right. So far 1 ship dead. He's not, Wedge is not rolling very well. Okay. So we score Rebel Assault. And no, we don't. We score Return of the Jedi. Way to go. Way to go. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking there. That was a insane sloppy move there on my end. Could have dropped Soontir instead and basically gotten the same result. There's Prepare for Battle. Not a lot I can do against that. Just going to grab those Moncal cards back, and that's going to look pretty gross. Yeah, with Return of the Jedi, I would have... oh, well, is what it is. All right, Vader counterattacking. Oh no, Vader collecting a bounty. This is also a giant mistake. What am I doing? Collecting a bounty on Wedge here. I guess the idea is to take K2SO out, but then all we're doing is we're inviting Chirrut to attack into Celeste. Maybe we're not worried about that because he doesn't have fighter support. I'm not sure. Here, Rebels, go ahead and take all your good combat cards, and then I'll capture your general and let your other general fly in and murder my second fleet, because why not? Okie dokie. All right, Bespin's loyal. So we know the base is on, I guess, Hoth or Bespin right now. I have to assume it's on Hoth. And now we're going to play the probe game, when in reality I would have much rather repositioned my forces to more useful spots around the map. Instead, we'll just play with probe cards. Seems like what the real Empire did at one point in time. All right. It's okay. Stay positive. Stay positive, Wombat. Should pull about 4 cards or so out of this. So Naboo, Kessel, Tatooine. These are all places that he's not... Apparently we just got 3. Okay. Dodonna probably with an infiltrate. Back to more level 3 objectives. Once Rebels start getting through their level 2s and into their level 3s, there's a, it's basically Empire on a ticker. Now we have lots of time left, so even with Return of the Jedi being scored, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. However, I am still playing with probe cards. So luckily we should get at least a few we don't have here. Ord, no. Kashyyyk, Dagobah. Or we can just draw everything we have. And Cato. Yep, why not? Okay, so Ozzel grabs Kashyyyk, Cato, Dantooine, I guess Bespin, which we sort of knew about just for whatever. All right, sabotaging here. You can see here, because I played the Ozzel card there, he knew I was not on R&D. So again, really important when something doesn't go your way, not to just get super tilted and start playing cards randomly. You got to still calm yourself down, think about what needs to go. All right, 2 more cards, Nalhutta and Mustafar. All right, well, that was not the probe round I was anticipating. So still lots of places he can rapid to. And Chirrut is now following up with an attack on Salas. Now he's only bringing 1 Mon-Cal here. So probably blocking hits and then probably flipping the combat. So you got to figure how you can best deal with that. So if he's going to block hits, you're probably not going to get a lot of damage rolls off. And if he's going to flip the combat, we're probably not killing anything with no heal. So let's just minimize his ability to play a card next round and hope he doesn't roll very well here. All right, he'll flip the combat. So at least we got those cards out of him now. So took an extra battle, but we did it. All right, so we got 3 and 3. Got Soontir here because I played Soontir, I guess, because I don't want my whole fleet to wipe for nothing. Get a couple of rerolls in. Try to do some damage. Blocked. Okay, no damage. 1 hit. And then Luke's got 2 more. Now he doesn't have 1 in a million, but nothing there either. Okay, just 1 damage. He'll get the TIE Fighter. It's probably a mistake because I don't have the TIE card, but here we go. We'll flip the combat back. And at least we'll have first opportunity to heal. And then no card for the Rebels this round. Okay, 1 damage. And 2 rerolls. Just 1 damage again. Okay, Luke is, I don't know who's flying, if it's Luke or Dodonna, but either way, not doing great. Okay. Alright, he might be going for Rebel Assault here. 1, 2. Get some rerolls in. Nope, just 2. And then heal the Star Destroyer. Alright, we'll go for the Mon-Cal. See if we can't whittle this fleet down a little bit here. And retreat into Bespin. Okay, that's not too bad. I have a reasonable force there still. I could definitely take out 1 Mon-Cal there. I want you to think back a little bit to me taking Krennic instead of Piet on Ready for Action. And imagine instead of playing the Emperor in Mustafar, I'd play Piet with Ready for Action instead. Downside is the Star Destroyer wasn't going to make it either way, but I still get the rerolls and try to kill some stuff, so I don't know. All right, we got Long War, Death Star plans, defend the people. Can't prevent Long War, so Rebels starting to catch up a little bit now. Got about 3 turns left, so Rebels are, about 3 turns on the clock, give or take. Still managed to grab a probe that I already had, so at least we know they can't rapid to Ilum now, I guess. And 2 troops going into the base. And probe round is starting to come back to haunt me a little bit. Probably should have ran R&D, probably should have ran Rule by Fear, or saved somebody back to block, had better leaders to throw in instead of the Emperor, not let Return of the Jedi get scored. Oh, Wombat, what have you done? Good news is we still have Ozzel, and building a lot of Star Destroyers. Got a lot of Star Destroyers, a lot of AT-ATs on the queue, so still have time to do it. And if we imagine being on a 3-turn clock, we can get Malastare, we can get Cato, we can get Naboo, and we can get Corellia all into the game here. 1 to Celeste, 2 to Bespin, 3 to the base. So, especially with Ozzel. So, all is not lost. Just got to be cognizant of what objectives they can still score. And because they have a 1, 2, and 3, we need to think about all of them. Now, they haven't scored No One Left Behind, so we know they don't have that. We're going to try to get a good run here with Soontir and try to take out a couple of starfighters. Also, because these starfighters in the back are not particularly useful anymore, might as well try to bring them in play here. So I'll start with a no heal, and if enough of them survive, I can drop the TIE Fighter card and maybe get a lucky capital ship kill and wipe out the starfighters as well. Okay, so he's going to do a damage. That's fine. And then we're going to try for 2 black hits and a crit. Okay, 2 black hits and a heal. 2 black hits and a heal. Okay, so the ships are dead from no healing. That's fine. Can do, if enough of these survive, because he's only rolling 1 black dice, if enough of these survive, next turn I can drop the TIE Fighter card and hopefully score a critical, and then wipe out the Nebulon too. That'll be nice. Okay, 1, 2 hits so far. Still not a lost cause. Can't heal the Y-Wing. I think we catch that here. Yep. Yeah, can't heal the Y-Wing, so he's going to want to re-roll that one. And then he needs 2 more successes here to wipe the starfighters. Hopefully not. 2 more successes. Okay, starfighters down. Soontir sacrificed 4 largely useless starfighters for 2 useful starfighters, plus recycled the space card. So I think that's totally fine. Now the next question is, do we Ozzel here? And I think the answer is no, because I don't have enough reliable damage to take out a capital ship. So what would happen is if I Ozzel into Bespin, then I end up just letting the Moncal flee to, say, Hoth. And then next round I'm subject to 2 Moncals coming in and got to try to defend Bespin here. So when you're trying to press in on the Rebel base, you need to think about like what sort of cards can ruin your day, right? And there's a lot of them, but primarily, well, that's one that doesn't help. But you could lose, you could stumble into a public uprising, which could wipe your ground. He doesn't have Lando here, but if he did, you need to think about independent operation, right? So like get your troops to Bespin and pull a double loyalty off. There's lots of things that need to be thought of. Okay, I'm going to move my fleet over to Mustafar. I'm going to try to wipe this Moncal. I think that's a lost cause. But what it does do is it lets me build potentially on Mustafar. And then attack Hoth. Although a rapid to Endor would be unfortunate if that was a thing. So we'll do some damage here, do 1, and then try to roll 3 hits, and then hope for no heals. It's not an impossible task. I have enough dice to do it. And Vader's got 2 rerolls. Now, if you've watched my other videos, you know Vader often lets me down. Not sure what I'm doing here. I need to be re-rolling that red dice. What are you doing, Wombat? No. Yeah, I guess it would end up being the same. All right, 3 on the Moncal. Okay, so far so good. Just need him to not heal. Yeah, killing the Moncal was more important than keeping the assault carrier alive for sure. Okay, at least he didn't heal it. All right, that's toast. And Mustafar under Imperial control. Captured Wedge. Luke hanging out, looking at his best friend. I should probably tick off that that blockade tile. Then if you look at what he's got in the base, it's basically a second Nebulon, which doesn't do him a whole lot of good. And we're inciting a rebellion up in Kessel to score liberation. There's it's not worth it trying to prevent that at this point. Not with a Yoda reroll plus, I mean, even if I drop the Emperor there, just get him confronted, that's not going to do anything. Okay, we'll do a damage, he'll kill a troop, we're done. And he heals too, not that it matters particularly here. So now we have to think about Kessel as a potential rapid location too, but I do have a decent sized army there. The Nightmare would be a hidden fleet rapid up to Kessel, but because there's no Mon Cal up there, I think it's probably still okay. And as long as this one's not plant false leads, or as long as Reekins is not plant false leads, we'll be okay. All right, ruling by fear. So we got to watch out for rebel loyalty, and then we need to try to establish a better hold in this place. So I need to break the loyalty chain here in case he cycles back through and gets regional aid or whatever. All right, so Mustafar is Imperial loyal, or no, it's just subjugated at this point. Too many leaders there. Reekin with, I guess, a sabotage. Yep, sabotage. It's going to be a tough sell with Vader there, and no wedge, but we'll see. Vader rolls 3, Reekin rolls 1. Okay, that's blocked. And we got Mothma on loyalty probably. All right, so with Mothma on loyalty, now what? We'll let her do the loyalty first before we trade negotiate, I think, because that way we're don't risk her taking Bespin back. So we'll R&D, grab an interdictor, loyalty, and Felucia. It's an eligible rapid spot. Go ahead and block it with Jabba. We don't have much else to do with Jabba, so we'll go ahead and do that. 3 blocked. Nice. Nice. Tell Mothma to put on the bikini. Wasn't quite Leia, but, you know, Jabba's not too picky. He's into it. Been nice to have a capture queued up there, I guess, but too late. And here we are, Ozzel, trying to figure out where to go to cover stuff. Again, don't want Ozzel to get confronted. We'll just cover Felucia. So Felucia can get to Mandalore. The Star Destroyer can get to Kessel. I think we're okay there. An Emperor on trade negotiations. Hopefully wipe the Bespin loyalty here. Not that there's going to be a huge rebel deploy in general, but just I like that idea. And it'll be blocked anyway. Doesn't matter. All right. On with the next thing. Rapid. So eligible rapid spots. Mandalore, Endor, Hoth, which he's on Hoth because we knew that. So he could have gone to Endor, Alderaan, or and now we know he's in Endor, and dropped Show No Fear too. So that actually puts us on a faster clock than I thought we were going to have to be on. So we went from no objectives being scored to basically no objectives left in his hand. Again, giant debacle with Return of the Jedi there. Okay, so he's in Endor. We have to figure out how to get to Endor. He's got 1 Mon Cal, a handful of starfighters, and planetary defenses that aren't going to do him any good anymore. So, with that rapid in place, we need to think about how do we do this. So we cannot, because Celeste is Imperial loyal, we cannot attack Bespin and then retreat off to Moncal. We can attack into Hoth and retreat into Endor, though. And I think I have enough guys to do it, especially with my deployment here. So I've got 2 AT-ATs on there. I only need like 1 to survive because he's only got 1 troop in Endor. So I need to figure out what to deploy. And I'm choosing to deploy 2 assault carriers because I need to make sure something can survive. I definitely needed 1. And then the other question is, did I drop an ATST or an assault carrier? That was really, really it. So again, I can't attack into Bespin because of the Celeste loyalty. I could have left Mustafar to do it. But then even if Celeste came to, I have to retreat to Imperial loyal. So the only way to make that work was if Celeste had not been Imperial loyal, or if I attack into Hoth. So now I'm trying to weigh what my pros and cons are. I'm going to try it because I think there's a decent chance. He's got 3 speeders and a tow cable against 2 AT-ATs, an ATST, and 2 troops. And then he's got a Y-Wing and a couple of, with a Y-Wing card. So his Y-Wing card takes out 1, Nebulon takes out a 2nd, and then a lucky roll could take out a 3rd. So I think I needed both ACs there. To take down the AT-ATs, tow cables will take out 1, and then he'll need 3 hits to take out the other, and then 2 crits, and I think I'll have at least, I should have at least a couple of stormtroopers left or an AT-AT left. So I think this is the right move. We'll see. So Dodonna comes in to try to save the day. Y-Wing card, I flip the combat, give me the best chance for healing. And there we go. Flipping the combat's nice. The downside with flipping the combat is we knew he was going to drop a Y-Wing card, so didn't do a ton. I would have been able to take advantage of heal rolls if I had not flipped the combat, but it does let him not take advantage of healing rolls. So, all right, we got 2, and the assault carrier definitely survives. And then for damage, kill the transport. Now, why is the transport super important to kill here? Because he's got the transport retreat card. So if he plays the retreat card, he goes back into Endor. So I have to kill the transport there. So that objective was done. That's why everything else is still alive, basically. Now, maybe if he plays the transport card, maybe I don't kill it, but I don't know. So now I just need to not have a disaster here. So we'll take out the shield generator because I don't have any block hit cards. If I had a block hit card, I would have played that. So ideally I'd roll 2 heals here, and then I think it would be good game. Okay, instead lots of damage. That's not ideal. It's fine. It's not bad. All right, so let's see here. All speeders dead. That guy dead. Got 1 troop left. So far, so good. So probably the right idea to rapid here, just based on how this is going so far. Uh-oh. 1, 2, 3 for the AT-AT. 1, 2 for the ATST. Oh my god. And 2 for the stormtroopers. That was quite the rebel defense there. Well, apparently the answer was I needed to leave and AC behind and bring the ATST, but man, if I leave an AC behind and I don't do enough damage to kill the transport, then I'm in trouble there too. Okay, so I have to retreat. I can still retreat to Endor, I just don't have anything to trigger the base. And now Wedge is free. So it's not over yet, it's just now I'm in trouble. Because he can attack out and score a major victory or anything else. So I need to try to figure out what my best chances here are. So again, don't get out of control. You just need to figure out how you can still win. So, okay. Rebels opening up with an attack on Endor, just with Luke and the Mon Cal. So they're probably trying to score a major victory here is my thought. So I need to try to kill stuff and not let that happen. So I'm going to do damage. He's going to play the no heal card. He doesn't have his great cards available yet, so I have a little bit of a chance here. The other thing this does is, if you look at the Bespin move, if he does not move Bespin this turn, my Celeste fleet can attack Bespin and then retreat to Endor because I have units there, unless he reveals the base, in which case I cannot attack there. So a couple of options he had here. This, to me, feels like maybe major victory, because 3 on the Star Destroyer. I can't heal. So I do 4, so I can wipe out that and do 1 damage on the frigate. Okay. So I need to not let this Star Destroyer die. So can't block red hits anymore. Should have maybe played that last turn. Yeah, is what it is. Get a Starfighter up here. Just gonna play no card next turn. And then he's got to roll at least 1 hit. No, maybe he already rolled and had a reroll. Okay, so he's got 5 damage there. I need 2 heals. Nope. Let's go Ozzel. Nope. Okay, if major victory gets scored, it is officially a good game at that point, I think. I'm very close to it. Rebel Assault. Okay. Now I don't have much I can do. With Rebel Assault being scored and Show No Fear, and then Time Marker coming up and no way to attack, kind of fell apart in inglorious fashion here. I do have an outside shot of maybe, grabbing a captured leader, I guess, and don't know. There's really not much that can be done here. If I can get him to trigger something in Bespin, where maybe they try and incite rebellion or whatever, to try to, do something, then maybe I can pull a retreat and then retreat into Endor. That's kind of a possibility, maybe. There's no carbon freeze or anything. So Oso will rapid. Okay, so he's hiding his guys now. So like Mothma not coming out is tough. That was kind of my shot, was have her come out and then grab a capture. But because he didn't trigger the base in Endor, I couldn't drop a capture on top of her. He could have just not played her as well, which is probably what he would have done had I had a threat. But with nowhere left to go, I took the opportunity to concede very quickly here.
The rebels are alerted to our presence. Admiral Ozzel came out of light speed too close to the system.
He felt surprise was wiser.
He is as clumsy as he is stupid.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you like this. It was It's a lot of fun to film this. Final score, Rebels won 2 games, Imperials won 1. But more importantly, 6 people got to play in a tournament, which I thought was pretty fun. So anyway, please like and subscribe. Find us on Discord, and I'll see you next week.